Okay, good evening, everyone. Welcome to 2024. This is our first meeting of the new year. Welcome, everyone, and Happy New Year for everyone. And looking forward for a prosperous 2024 with everyone. So, again, it is that time of the year, January 3rd, and I bet a lot of us setting up our goals and set up our New Year's resolutions and so on and so forth. And for me, I don't believe in New Year's resolution. I believe in new month resolution. Why? It's just because a lot of people set New Year's resolution. They got all excited on the first day and they follow through on the first month. But guess what? It's 2 months down the road, 3 months down the road, and they start to forget about that New Year's resolution. And by December comes, what New Year resolution? I forgot all about this, right? So I suggest everybody's not just setting up the New Year's resolution, but the most important thing is to set up a new month resolution. What are you going to do in this new month? This is a brand new month of the brand new year. So do not let it just slip through. So what are you going to do? Plan it out. And it does work. Once you put down your goal on a piece of paper and you follow through, miracle will happen. So as of Sequoia, this is actually into the second year that we launched our platform. Okay, Sequoia has been in operation since 2014 or 15, but we actually launched the platform since 2023. So it's 1 year old for us. It's also our birthday as well for Sequoia. So Sequoia, for the last year, we start out as a commercial lending company, but slowly, we transition ourselves into a business consulting company. So by the end of 2023, we are no longer just doing commercial lending on real estate properties. We also do a lot of business funding. As many of you know, we do a lot of equipment loan funding. We do a lot of working capital funding. And also we launched the business service, which including our cost segregation, including ERTC. And last month, we launched the SETC, Self-Employed Tax Credit. And I also did a training on that. If you really just want to make 6-digit income and just focusing on one product, SETC is the way to go. There are over 50 million people qualify for SETC. Now, are you going to be benefit out of it? Are you going to share that information with your community? It's totally up to you. We are already seeing agents on our side. They're submitting 3 deals a day, 3 deals a day, 5 deals a day, 10 deals a day. They're equivalent to thousands of dollars of income every single day. So again, I suggest everybody, 2023, you have been watching, we're looking at what Sequoia is and watch our growth. And 2024, we want everybody to become a participant in this game. Okay. So today, the first training of the new year, we have something very, very exciting. And here I'm going to introduce you to one of our favorite advisor. Many of you already know her. She's on our platform many times already. She doesn't talk much, but she does a lot of deals for us behind the scene. And I believe that one of the biggest deal that she's working on right now is about a $500 million deal. And she does not deal with anything that is small. But however, she also bring in some very interesting product onto the platform because we believe in one thing. We believe that, hey, big deals are good. Big deals are fantastic, but big deals sounds sexy, right? But it takes a long time to close. So what we wanted to do is to make sure that everybody have a tool or have some sort of product that you can close within 2 weeks, or in some cases within five business days. So many of us already know that we have something called we have something called equipment loans. We can fund it in 5 days. But hey, what if somebody that need more money than just a working capital equipment loans? So today we are going to introduce something called cash float loan. So without further ado, I would love to introduce a very good friend of mine. We've been to the trenches together. We've fought through a lot of battles, and we're still fighting a lot of battles together right now. Melissa Snowden. Miss Snowden, would you please come onto the stage and let us know what new program you have in the pipeline for us?
Sure. So great to connect again, Adam, with you, Alan, with you and your team. And Yes, we have been through the trenches with a lot of deals that have gone in every which direction. And but the whole thing is finding solutions and finding solutions that work for different investors. And there's a lot of alternative programs out there now that you don't necessarily have to leverage your real estate, which, some people, if they have the luxury of being into an interest rate that was um, prime a couple of years ago, and then with the increase in interest rates of the past few years, it doesn't behoove them to refinance their property and put a lien on it, because then they're just going to get in at sacrificing their cash flow, because they're into a higher interest rate and their debt service is higher. But what this program allows for is for seasoned investment property owners to leverage their cash flow to pull money out, whether they want to buy another property, whether they want to put in some improvements or increase their footprint. So yes, so it's a really cool program, and I look forward to sharing it with you. And so, we're just going to talk a few things about the program, what it's about, what type of property types they lend on, how it's structured, who is the ideal candidate, and it's very minimal documentation requirements. And then we'll kind of go through a Q&A session. But this is meant to be interactive. It's a very unique program, but as Alan said, like, these big deals are very sexy, and that's what I like to work on, is the big, development, hospitality, multicultural, multinational. They all sound great and fabulous, but they do take a lot of time, and there's a lot of competition. So, in terms of just like really earning a good paycheck, maximizing your potential over the next year, it's important to, I like to use the analogy of like kill the rabbits while you're chasing the buffalo, right? You can get these small deals and hit them. I have one of my colleagues who introduced me to this program is closing about 5 to 6 deals of these a week. And that's gravy. This is something that sustains your family, that you can live off of, that you can grow off of. And while you're chasing those bigger, sexier, more interesting, esoteric deals, this is money in your pocket that's paying your bills. So I think it's a great program, low cost of capital to the borrower, low risk to the borrower as well to the lender. And we'll go through it with a little bit more detail. So basically what this is they're basing their financing on your cash flow. So it's on your net cash flow. That's after debt service. So what they need to see is a 12-month trailing 12, P&L, the most current, that's going to also extract out that debt service out of it. So, and they will lend up to 65% of that net cash flow. And there's no exposure per borrower. So say you have an investor and he's got a portfolio that he owns multiple, multiple assets that are in multiple LLCs. He can leverage up to 2 million per LLC with absolutely no exposure. So if he's got 20 LLCs, he could technically leverage up to 40 million. It just has to cash flow in the right direction. So it can be used on a variety of different asset types, and there's no lien against the property. So what happens is the lender actually becomes a preferred equity member. So they're leveraging on that future cash flow. Like, say if you've got a trailing 12 that shows your net, your NOI is X amount, they're lending up to 65% of that amount. And it can be for a 1 to 5 year term. And then, so they become an equity member for a temporary stake in the company. with no voting rights. And it looks like you have a question. Did someone have a question?
Nope, there's no questions.
Okay, all right, sorry, I just thought there was a little box that said there was a question. In any case, but, they have no voting rights, they never have greater than a 20% equity stake in the company, and it's, they can't control management or membership or anything along those lines. So it's basically that of a silent, minimal, minority owner, pref equity partner is the stake that it takes, and that's how it collateralizes. There's no lien against the property, so the property is not collateralized. And, it's typically a 5 to 10-day close, just really depending on how quickly, the docs can get in. The term can be from 1 to 5 years. The minimum advance amount is 50,000 going up to 2 million, and again, that's per LLC. They don't really like to dabble in too much below, like, say, 70,000, so 50 is kind of an exception. So, really a little bit above that is what they're ideally looking for in that space. Annual financing fee, it's not like your MCAs or your ABLs where you've got, or BL, business line of credits, where you've got pretty exorbitant interest rates monthly. Annualized, you're looking at between 11 to 16, with the average between 12 to 14% annualized. So, it's not bad. It's not like your MCA loan. So it's not a high cost of capital, which, makes it very appealing as well. And they do offer prepayment and deferred payment options. 3 months of payment reserves are required to be held in escrow, and that is a requirement, just, in terms of risk with the loan. And, there are no closing costs associated with the loan. And, the other great thing is that broker fees can be paid out of closing. I know I work with a couple of affiliates, on the business capital side that, they will not pay broker fees out of closing, and you have to collect them on your own. So it gets a little bit messy at times. So, that's a good protection for the brokers as well. And then as far as property types, so, short-term rentals, SFRs, long-term rentals, those are, sort of the gold standard. Multifamily properties, RV parks, mobile home parks, hotels, could even be self-storage units, and they'll consider some commercial assets as well. Non-owner occupied, because it's based on the net cash flow, and so, it needs to be like from a third party tenant, but not a owner occupied tenant. Um, and and they can use all of that cash flow. So if someone's got a portfolio of those different type of assets, that's someone who's a really good candidate to consider. And so this particular, capital partner is looking for 3 years of experience in the space. So they want to know that they've owned some investment property and owned, managed, operated, flipped, sold, bought, just in some capacity of, investment real estate for the past 3 years. And they'll consider, property owners and managers and developers with stabilized assets. And, they do require a U.S. entity and bank account. So if it's a foreign national, they would have to have an established U.S. entity and bank account to be able to qualify. And, we want to see cash flow positive properties. So they're going to back out, the for your NOI, they're going to back out the rent from the rental income, the tax, insurance, HOA fees, just your basic, expenses, and, also your debt service, and look at your net NOI. and they're going to lend up to 65% of that net NOI. And these can be used for a variety of things, like if you're trying to buy a new property, if you need working capital to grow your company, if you're looking for some horizontal pre-development costs to get like planning and zoning and permitting done, renovations and new amenities for value add or redevelopment projects is a great concept for that. If you're trying to hire and have company growth, you can use this as a method. So really, like any business, cash out purpose is acceptable. Refinancing high cost debt, if you've got yourself in trouble with MCA loans and you want to take them out with a lower cost of capital, it's a good solution for that as well. And yeah, we like average 7-day close. I know that some have closed in 5 days. 5 to 10 is the range that that the company claims that they can get it done within. The good news is that the borrower gets to keep their equity. They don't participate in the upside at all. So there's a set payment every single month. There's no balloon payment. It's flexible capital, and there's no personal impact to credit or DTI whatsoever, and no lien against the property, and no trade lines on credit. So it's a very safe mechanism, and they just basically amend the operating agreement for a temporary stake in the company for the life of the loan until it's paid back, along with the associated fees. There's no prepayment penalties, and it's a very flexible capital solution. So I'd be happy to share some more information on it. And if you have any specific questions, document requirements are super simple. We just require some basic entity docs and sponsor documentation. And I did send the team a PDF of this as well. So Alan can circulate it, so you'll have a copy of what we would need to see. And I sent him the list of questions that they need to see so that when you go on the form for the Sequoia lending website, your client would be able to fill out the form specifically for this program of the questions they ask. And then along with that, they just need a trailing 12 to initially review the request, along with that questionnaire that is in the format. And then as far as underwriting, it would just be the documents listed below. But it's very simple documentation, very quick close, easy money. And these are a little bit alternative lending. It gives you as a broker an opportunity to potentially increase your fee structure if you see fit. So that's something to consider as well.
So, correct me if I'm wrong, Melissa, that they can still keep their first lien. If all these property, they have a first lien, they can keep the first lien. And this is going to be add on top of it. Is that correct?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I think my power we're having a storm.
Okay.
I look like I'm in Ghost Hunters all of a sudden. It just, all of my lights went out in my house. So
Oh boy.
I'm in the dark right now.
Okay, I'm glad they still have internet. But if that is the case, that actually, ladies and gentlemen, that opens up a huge, huge door for a lot of us. Now, think about this. For the last so many years ago, the interest rate was very, very low. And many of our clients, when they refinance their property, many of them got their interest rate somewhere at 2%, 3%, if you still remember those days, right? For clients that got 2%, 3%, they're not willing to touch their first lien. Okay, so no matter how much equity that they have in the property, they're just not willing to do it. So this program right here is perfect for those people who already have a very low interest first lien. if they have a very low interest rate on the first lien, and yet they still would like to take more money out from their property. So for this particular one, we're just looking at their cash flow. We do not care about their first lien. We do not refinance their first lien. And based on their performance, based on the property's performance, now we can give them extra loan on top of it. So this is open up
Correct.
a huge door for a lot of us. So again, I bet a lot of you run into clients saying, hey, my first lien interest rate is so low, I don't want to touch it. And in the traditional refinance world, that business is dead. You cannot do anything about this. But with this program coming onto our platform now, we can open up a lot of doors for many, many, many of our clients. And especially this particular product right here is not just for 1 to 4 unit. It can cover variety range of property, including commercial properties. So anything you want to add on top of it, Melissa?
No, that's correct. So yeah, it's ideal because uh, like, a lot of people are in really favorable loans, and it doesn't make sense for them to try to refinance and cash out and get in the double digits when they're in the single digits, low single digits. And this gives them an option to do so, where they're just leveraging their cash flow for a short period of time, depending on the length of the loan. And they're paying an annualized interest fee, which, is somewhere between 12 to 14%, which is about average for a hard money loan. But, in the terms of, if you're, most people looking at leveraging cash flow based on their business or receivables, or they're looking at MCAs, they're looking at 30 to 40% annualized on the average. So it's a huge difference there in terms of trying to pull out some money. And then, with no closing costs, I think there's just a huge opportunity to be able to capitalize on people that have portfolios. And even, I have some colleagues that are using this program, and they're closing about 5 to 6 deals a week. And they do a lot of marketing heavily on social media mechanisms like Facebook marketing, Facebook groups and pages. There's ones for self-storage owners, there's ones for multifamily, there's ones for, real estate investors. And, finding those people that have portfolios that they can leverage, whether it's, whatever type of dwelling, or even a non-dwelling that's a commercial asset that they could leverage for cash flows, such as self-storage. Some of those, the self-storage owners own multiple units of those, and that could be a really good way for them to leverage that, to just go and be able to buy another property, which could give you in turn another opportunity to finance that next deal for them.
Great, great, great. Wonderful. We do have a few questions right here in the chat box. Joseph is asking, is this open to all LLC no matter what business they are in? Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, so yeah, basically, as long as it's a LLC. But the whole thing is that it does have to be cash flowing, and it's dependent on, even though it's not real estate collateralized, they need to be having cash flow from that real estate. So whether it's a short-term rental, or single family rental, multifamily, mixed use property, hotel, mobile home park, self storage unit, commercial portfolio that's non owner occupied, or um, retail, or something along those lines.
So I would imagine that it has to be real estate related. So for example, if I have a restaurant, but I'm just leasing that place and I have cash flow through the restaurant, it would not work for this particular LLC, correct?
Correct. Yeah, they want to know that you have an equity stake in that property,
Got it.
and that therefore they are joining as a preferred equity partner for a limited period of time, to finance that capital raise for you. Um, and whether it's for a 1 to 5 year period, up to 65%.
Got it. I see Mo, you got your hand raised, Mo.
Yeah, hey Alan. Hey, thanks very much, quick question. It's actually a two-part question. What determines the 6% loan value?
Mo, you are in and out. Mo, you are in and out. We cannot hear you.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I can't understand.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, go ahead.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. What determines the 65% loan to value? And is this an amortized loan closed in, or is it acting as a revolving?
The 65% is determined on the net revenue.
So it's not an LTV, Mo. It's the 65% of the net revenue. So, for example, correct me if I'm wrong, Melissa, that if the property is generating $100,000 income a year, then you will get 65 up to 65%, which is $65,000.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah. So they're doing it on the net revenue, and that's after debt service as well. So it's on the rental revenue plus the expense plus the debt service. And it's based on the net revenue.
Right.
Okay, I lost connection, so I didn't hear, but that's okay. I'll come back and I'll listen to the replay.
Okay, that's fine.
I didn't hear what you said.
Yep. So Caroline's asking, is this a second lien cash out without refinancing?
Thank you.
If what?
The question is this a second lien cash out without refinancing? Without refinancing the first one?
No, it is not a second lien. There is no lien on the real estate whatsoever.
Okay.
So what the company does, the lending partner goes on to the operating agreement temporarily as a minority owner, never more than 20% as a preferred equity partner. And in return for that preferred equity position, they're providing X amount up to 65% of their capital raise. So so that's how that's structured.
Got it. So did you say there's no closing costs for this type of loans?
Yep, no closing costs whatsoever.
Wow, that's fantastic. Okay. How long does the LLC
Yeah, and
has
no upfront fee is either as
Great.
well.
How long does the LLC have to be established?
It can be a new LLC. However, they are looking for experienced investors, and they're looking for investors that have had at least 3 years of experience, either developing, flipping, buying, selling, operating, managing investment property.
Okay, is there an existing, oh wait, is this on an existing business you already own or you would like to purchase?
It can be either or. It can be something that you want to purchase. And also, I mean, this company is in a position that they can be a preferred equity partner to be even to participate in the acquisition of buildings as well.
Okay, now I do have a question. So how many months of cash flow they're looking at? Is it at least 12 months?
Yeah, they're looking at a trailing 12. So they want to see the most current trailing 12 months. So, so they can see the absolute most current cash flow.
So let's say if they have a property and for the last 12 months and two out of the last 12 months they are vacant. For example, the tenant move out, they have that there are vacancies. So how do they look at something like that? They still look at a T12, but in that case, it'll be 10 months, right?
They're still going to look at a T12, and they're going to, like, for true underwriting, they'll want to see historical P&Ls, because then in that case they'll want to see like what the trend is in terms of timing, like why is there a decline in the rent. So I think they would want to see a trend historically.
Sure. Is that a minimum cash flow required?
Well, it needs a debt service, right? So they're going to lend on the net cash flow. So if you're in the negative, they're not going to lend on it.
Okay, got it. buy here, pay here, car lot is the business I was thinking about. Not quite sure what Joseph means. Another question is, sir, can they refinance or pay off early? Or is that a prepayment penalty?
They have options for prepayment and deferred payments. So, you know, there are definitely options for that.
Can these apply to primary residence? Or it has to be investment?
This is investment property. Yeah.
Okay, got it. So these are all the questions that we have. Feel free to ask more questions, but one thing that I see is that on our line of business, we run into a lot of clients that come to us looking for quick funding, whatever that might be. And obviously, this is definitely is a very, very good tool for them to get involved with and get the cash out as soon as possible. And it also is not going to be like a ridiculous amount of interest rate as well. So many of the client, if they have cash advance type of loan, they are paying 30-40% on their money. It's going to be it's ridiculous. So if they have an investment property like this, we can definitely tap into their their cash flow like this to give them the loans to pay off that high interest cash advance. So this definitely open up a lot of door for us.
It puts them in a reasonable range of 12 to 14% typically. I mean, that's the average. So, I mean, that puts them in a really reasonable range. They're not leaning their property, so they're not putting themselves in further debt. And while, you know, while they compromise their ownership, you know, slightly in their entity, but never more than 20% equity in that entity, that, you know, they still get to realize the upside potential. They get to realize any increases in rent. They get to realize any decreases in expense. They get to realize any increase in value, you know, as equity that does not go to the funding capital source as any type of a contribution or distribution to them.
Mm-hmm. And what is the underwriting time frame?
It's like 24 to 48 hours and close within 5 to 10 days.
Right. So how can the client get guaranteed that at the end of the term, the investor is going to get off that agreement, that operating agreement?
It's all, they have everything very mapped out, like through their legal department, with, you know, with all like any necessary amendments to the operating agreement, as well as the exit strategies.
Right. Okay, good. So definitely this is another very valuable tool for us on the Sequoia platform. And hey, I like quick funding. Nothing beats about 5 days, 10 days closing. And that is the key for a lot of us. Doing a traditional loan normally takes about 30 to 45 days to get it closed. Obviously, you need to look for a lot of documentation, so on and so forth. But for this type of loans, and in the old days, there are lenders that's willing to do second lien, but with today's economy, many of those second lien lenders are pulled out already. So I don't see anybody's willing to do second lien anymore. So this particular program right here definitely can help out a lot of these clients that has a lot of equity in their property, and also they have a very low interest rate on the first lien, and they still want to tap into, you know, their property to get more money out for whatever they wanted to do. So definitely it's a good tool for us to look into. Okay. So any questions, any comments, any suggestions? Unmute yourself if you want to ask.
And again, I'm sorry for being in the dark. I had a storm and I don't know.
It's fine.
I've got to go check my breaker box.
Right. It's fine. No worry. No worry. Okay, great.
Is this, I had a question to ask. So, what company is this? I mean, I know this is Sequenda Lending, but what company is this loan that you guys are talking about through?
I don't reveal my funding sources. Like what I do is I source funding across different platforms, but
only reason why I said that is because sometimes when people are asking me questions, they are I want them to be comfortable. You know what I mean? I don't want them to think that we are scamming. So I don't like when they ask what type of loan is this and what do we do and blah blah blah. They be asking a lot of questions.
Well, see, this is what the Sequoia platform is all about, right, Rasanda? That if they have questions, the best thing to do is to have them to set up a call with one of advisor like us that let us to answer the question for them. Because just like you said, they're asking a lot of questions that you might not be able to answer. And if you start answering one question wrong, and now you got yourself into a situation that's very awkward. So my suggestion to you is that, hey, if they ask you which lender is this, let them know that we are a broker. We work with over 500 different funding sources. So it all depending on what your portfolio looks like, your profile looks like, and we shop around the lender for you. We provide the best solution for you. Okay. And if they have more questions, have them to set up a call with one of us and we will talk to them directly.
Okay. All
Okay?
right.
Yep.
Because I just know some people, they're like, I want them to be open to talking, you know what I mean, to put it in an application, but I don't know. You like you said, set it up. I'll just set it up with you all, but they're gonna ask questions. They are gonna ask questions like that because they already have been asking me stuff like that, and I don't really know what to tell them other than we have a lot of different lenders.
Now, there are two type of clients, right? When they ask questions, there are two type of people who will ask questions. The first type of people who ask you questions are people that already have a loan. They need the funding. They ask you questions specifically for their deal. They will ask you, hey, I have a situation like this. What can you do in this situation? Okay. So that's the first type of client. The second type of client that asks you a question is just, they just want to ask for the sake of it. They have no deal in the pipeline. They just want to take out more information. And sometimes they want to find out, who are you dealing with? And perhaps they want to go around you to find out who the source is and to go around you. So for that type of people, it just, I'm not saying that do not talk to them, but what I'm saying is that you were just spending a lot of time to just talk to them just for the sake of conversation, but it's not getting anywhere. So normally, unless you have a lot of time to talk to them, normally what I tell the clients to do is that, hey, in order for us to have a better conversation, help me out. Give me some data first, okay? We are here to help you to find the funding that you want and put in a scenario form for us. Let us look at the data. And once we collect the data, we can have a better conversation to give you a lot more accurate information for your particular deal. So that is normally what I would like to do.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, absolutely. Okay.
Alan and
Okay.
Melissa, Lou from Cape May, New Jersey. Melissa, so you show a kind of incredible warrior, top of the line, professional, amazing, caring person. In the dark, you still deliver the message.
I'm in the dark over here. I can't believe this. I'm texting my daughter. I'm like, I have no power. I'm on Zoom.
And so, we know that
It's a matter of time before my computer dies, but I'm like, I'm here for the end. I'm like a diehard. I don't know. We had crazy thunder lightning storms in Texas yesterday. So something happened. I heard a pop and then I tried to flip a few things in my breaker box, but I don't know what I did. And now I have nothing. So.
Oh goodness, maybe a transformer or whatever. But the cool thing about we have enormous opportunity because of innovative thinking. We recognize, and Alan, thank you so much, bringing these model pieces together and somebody like Melissa, who's on top of the game, who does incredible work, who's obviously humble enough to be able to bring the kind of information, even in the dark, for us to all hear something that is going to be the most important part, which is how we're going to do so amazingly well in 2024 when you have this kind of an opportunity in this kind of product to help so many more people. So just wanted to thank you, Melissa, again, and thank you, Alan, as always. And we're going to definitely get on this right away. We appreciate the fact that we can be in contact with you as well, Melissa. So thank you so much.
Thanks. I found my phone spotlight, so now I'm like glowing.
So this is Melissa's contact information, but now I suggest everybody do not just pick up the phone and call her. She's very busy. She's on the phone all the time and she's closing deals for us. So if you want to get a hold of Melissa, please send email to her instead and she will respond to you, text her or whatsoever. But of course, if you really need to talk to her, give her a call, and I'm sure that she will talk to you. But the preferred communication would be email, and through all of our advisors also. Okay. Just like Lou said, yes, we are bringing in more and more product onto our platform. So this is one of them. And for the next 2 to 3 weeks, we will have more products onto our platform. And also, I'm going to share with you more information about what 2024 will bring to Sequoia. And one major battleground, okay, one major battleground for our company is actually in California. For those of you who are actually in California or live in California, or we know people in California, that will be one of our major battleground in, that's one of the major state. Just because there's a lot of, I just share with you one thing, okay? If you can capture this thing, it will make you so much money. In California right now, they have a mandate. Listen, they have a mandate. All the commercial properties, they need to turn all the commercial property to reduce their pollutions. By doing so, how do they reduce pollutions? They mandate them to install solar panels. Now, when they install solar panel, what does it mean? They need fundings to install that solar panel. Where can they get funding for it? We have access in Sequoia. We have access to all these fundings. Okay, now let me tell you what happened. Right now, phase number 1 in California, right now, they are sending out letters. They are sending out letters to huge warehouses. And that's the phase 1, warehouses, big warehouses. In California right now, they estimated there are over 2,000 huge warehouses in California right now, okay? This is what happened. Right now, they're sending out letters. They're saying that, hey, they will give them a date. By so-and-so, by such date, you need to install solar. If not, they will fine them. Listen to this. They will fine them $11,000 a day. I'm going to send you out the report. If you don't believe me, do a search on Google. Do a search on Google, warehouse penalty or some sort of warehouse mandate solar in California, whatever that might be. I'm going to send you the article. $11,000 a day. So that opened up a huge door for us. I just came back from California. We already have a talk with the team in California, and everybody's excited about that. Now, this is not just happening in California. It's going to filter out to the rest of the country. When is that going to happen? We don't know yet, but in California, it's happening right now. So if you have client in California, we have the funding for it. We have the money for it. We have access to $1.3 billion, okay, in California, state money to turn that to help businesses over there to turn them into a green energy business. So again, there will be a lot more product, a lot more news coming into Sequoia platform. It's totally up to you. What do you want to do in 2024? Are you still watching us growth, or you want to participate and be part of us? So again, the game already started it. So it's totally up to you what you wanted to do. Okay. So if there's no questions or whatsoever, I would like to end today's presentation a little bit early. I know that Melissa need to work on his electrical panel, but for the rest of us, we will continue the conversation next Wednesday. Okay, good, everyone. Without further ado, thank you so much, and I see you next Wednesday. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.